In JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, fate is very tied to the main idea and the story in general. You can't get through the story of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures without fate. You don't even get to the start of the story in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures without fate. It was fate that George Joestar and his wife and their newborn baby all fell off the top of a cliff onto some rocks in a carriage. And it was fate that Dario Brando and some random woman that he met, who was probably a hooker, found George, Jonathan, and the now deceased George's mother. But since we're talking about fate, it got me thinking. What fates are worse than death? Some way you have to live for the rest of your life, except you can't die. You know, because in JoJo's, there are a good few times where we see characters who have to suffer like that, living their fate for the rest of their life, and they can never die. And today, we're going to go over two stark examples, which the first one, which everyone loves, is the infinite death loop. And the second one is when Josuke turns you into an object. Now first, the infinite death loop. I feel as if the infinite death loop is far, 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 far worse than just dying. You know why? Because you die, then you die again, then you die again, then you know what else you do? Die one more time. But that one more time is actually an infinite amount of times. If you do get past maybe death 10, you know, because by the time we stop in part 5, we see death maybe 5, and Diablo is so fucking terrified by it, he's ready to jump off the cliff early himself. We don't even know what's going to happen there. It's literally just a house and a little girl, and he almost jumped off a cliff. But maybe after death 10, that's when your brain completely just breaks apart, and then maybe you're catatonic about everything else. At that point, you probably have to be, you know, because thinking about it, if the infinite death loop, you know, is probably just you getting hit and then your brain being sped up so much to the point where it feels like infinite time is passing per second, because that probably is what is happening. Just thinking about how Golden Experience itself worked. Y'all remember when Bruno got hit by Golden Experience? He literally thought he was moving in slow-mo, when in reality he was just perceiving everything at a very high and fast rate, but he couldn't move. So the punches became excruciatingly more painful because he's perceiving it at such a slow rate. Not only is he anticipating the punch, he's also very sensitive to all of his senses. So think about that, but times it by like 1,000, and that's how you get the infinite death loop partially, at least. Again, that's a theory, but it would make sense because it builds off of Golden Experience's power. But what we do know about that is that there is no escaping it. There isn't really a way to beat it. You're just dying, you know, and you just keep dying, and you die in almost any way possible, in almost every way possible, and you, at some point, I'm sure, you just stop thinking. You know, you die. You might get a searing pain when you die, but even then, at some point, it kind of comes normal to you, unless the death is so excruciatingly painful. It's one you never experienced before, like getting thrown in some fucking lava. And I think to make matters worse about the death loop is the fact that, at least for Diablo, it was created for him. Like Golden Experience Requiem literally created it for him, because again, he countlessly dodged fate. And in this new reality, as Golden Experience Requiem calls it, there is no dodging fate. It's literally just the constant state of death and rebirth, but the rebirth happens right before the point of death. So you're just on a fucking loop, literally just on a constant fucking loop forever. Like, I genuinely couldn't imagine putting anyone in that, you know, like that's worse than death. I'm sorry, it's just completely worse than death. But up next, we have something that's a little bit more debatable, which is the way Josuke deals with some of his higher enemies. You know, part of me wanted to see him turn Yoshikage Kira into something, make him part of a house, squash him into the street, something like that. But you know what? We got right proper justice for Yoshikage Kira, so it's fine. But Josuke's ability of turning you or fusing you with something after he breaks it is very, very scary. Restoration is a very scary ability to go against, mainly because if he so ever decides to punch a hole in the wall and then he punches you into that wall and you're now fused a part of the wall, there's nothing you can do. Once you're fused, you can't move, can't go nowhere, and he's probably going to do it in a way to where it looks like things are completely fine on the outside, but on the inside you're just in the wall. There are two examples of Josuke trapping people in just horrible fates. For one, there was Angelo, when he deadass just punched Angelo into a rock, because he started off punching Angelo with one hand and punched his hands into the rocks, to where now he can't use his hands. Cool. But then Angelo continues spilling venom all the way until he realized Josuke, he's not playing with him. And that's when Angelo literally started apologizing to Josuke. He's literally like, yo, just because I killed your grandfather doesn't mean you can kill me. You know, you will be just as bad as me, the serial killer, rapist, pedophile. But he wasn't hearing that. And so Angelo quickly got turned into Angelo's Rock, where now he consciously has to live as people pass him, say, yo, Angelo, and lovers go there just to sit and do whatever. So he's essentially the cuck rock now, all because of Josuke. And again, no one in Morio even questioned it. One day, because the next day, Josuke, he went up to the rock, was like, yo, Angelo, waved at him and everything. Then Koichi came up, he was like, I've never seen this rock. Then he said it too. So now, the nigga who trapped you in this permanent prison comes up to you every day just to taunt you, because you suck. And the other and final thing I want to talk about is just when he trapped, I forget the stand, but he trapped them in a book, which was their own stand. It was like similar to their own stand. Bro literally put them in a book. Do you know how devious that he could be? He could go literally put that book on the library shelf, and that's it. Like, I promise you, that's it. No one's finding it, and even when they do, he better hope he transports his conscience to the right page, because if not, he's gonna be on page 43 while someone randomly opens the book to page 83. And now he's got to make up 40 chapters before they close the book, as they realize it's blank because his consciousness is taking up all the fucking words. I'm sorry, being fused with an inanimate object is worse than death. You know, the more I talked about it, the more I realized, yeah, I'd rather someone just kill me. Because by that point, if I'm fused with a rock, I can't move. What do I do? Except just sit there. Will I even need to eat anymore, since my molecular structure will literally fundamentally be changed? I probably won't. But that's all I got for y'all today. If y'all enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. You know, we're on the road to 5K, so anything helps. And until next time, peace.